Hi guys, and welcome back to another video in this week's Java tutorial. So in this video, we are going to be working on a mini project, so really exciting. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a program using if-else statements. So if you haven't watched the last video about if-else statements, go ahead and do that because this is basically a continuation of that. So we're going to be using a scanner. So we're going to take the user input, and based on what their answer is to our questions, we're going to do different actions. So let me go ahead and show you the example here. The example, let me run the program for you. We're not going to do something as complicated, but we're going to be doing the same idea. So while it's waiting for us to run, we're basically modeling a roller coaster. You know how when you go ride on roller coasters, they kind of ask you a few questions and the waiting time and things like that. So welcome to the Texas Rattlesnake roller coaster. The waiting time is 30 minutes. Would you like to proceed? Go ahead and say yes. Great. How old are you? Say I'm 98. Well, no, that's a little too old. Say I'm 66. Awesome, enjoy your ride, and then your ride is complete. Please rate your experience. Say I give it a 1 because I got a heart attack. It was just too scary. Okay, we're saying sorry you didn't like it. We'll improve. Any comments, questions, or concerns? I got a heart attack. Heart attack. So that's our feedback, and it's saying, all right then, bye. So this was our program. It didn't print out that many lines, but there is a lot of code to go with it. So we're not going to be doing all of this code, but we're going to be doing a similar idea. As you'll see here, we're using layered if-else statements. What that means is we'll have an if-else statement inside of an if statement, because based on if the answer is true, we might want to do a few more steps of code. Right? So let's go ahead and try our own. I know it looks kind of hard, but I think we can do it. Start coding, log in. I actually had a different idea instead of the roller coaster. I think we should do something about like a parent asking a kid about how good they were, like their behavior at school. And if they said yes, then they would get cookies. And if they asked for too many cookies, you would say, oops, too many, and things like that. So I think that was maybe a better idea. So let's go ahead and create our scanner. Scanner equals new scanner system.in. All right, now the next step is to ask our question here. So system.out.println. Hello, I am, let's say, Caillou. I think that's how you spell Caillou. I'm Caillou's mom. And then after that, we can ask the teacher, let's just say the teacher, so system.out.println, how was Caillou today? Okay, so this was just a series of questions. I'm saying, hi, I'm Caillou's mom. How was Caillou today? We forgot to import our scanner. Yeah, so we need to import java.util.scanner because we have to remember, that the scanner does not come with Java. We have to actually import it. So my bad, but it's okay. Instead of saying, how was Caillou today, we could say, was Caillou a good boy today? So this gives us more of like a yes or no answer, so it's easier for us to write our code. So now this is where we're going to write our if-else statements. We'll say if, and then we'll just map out the condition for now. If, then do this. However, if they said he was not a good boy, so else would be if they said they were not a good boy, we would say print line, bad Caillou. Be a good boy tomorrow. I feel like I'm talking to a puppy, like bad boy. Okay, so basically now let's fill in our condition, but before we fill in our condition, we have to have some sort of variable, right? So in order to do that, we have to save this answer as a variable. So we're saying string good or bad is equal to scanner.next line. So what I'm doing here is I'm essentially taking whatever the answer to this question is as our own input. And this input, good or bad, is going to be how we verify what to do next. So we're saying if good or bad dot equals yes. What am I doing here, guys? Usually our logic would be say something like good or bad equals yes, right? Usually this is our logic. So why did I come up with something dot equals? Well, here's the difference, guys. If we go ahead and take a look, this is where I wrote the answer out. Dot equals is a value comparison, whereas the double equals or single equals is like a reference comparison. So what does that actually mean? Let me go ahead and show you. So basically, a reference comparison, which is the equal sign, is comparing the memory. So whenever we save the input, we're saving it to somewhere. We're saving it to a specific spot in our memory, right? So then when we say yes, this yes is saved as another specific location in our memory. However, when you use just the single equal sign, it's comparing the location. So even though both of these may be the same value, yes, they're in different locations, so they think it doesn't equal. Only when you have it saved as the same location in your memory will this equal sign work. So that's a memory comparison. A dot equals uses a value comparison. So a value comparison just compares the value. It doesn't care about where it's saved on the memory or anything like that. As long as both of the variables and text and things like that have the same value, then it thinks that it's the same thing. So in this case, we're not looking for memory location or anything like that. We're just looking for the value. So we would use dot equals. So we're saying if good or bad dot equals yes, then we would say system.out.println good boy Caillou. How many cookies do you want? So now we give him cookies because he had a great day at pre-K or kindergarten, whatever, however old he is. Now, once we ask for how many cookies, we're going to have to save this as an input, right? Because we're going to have to use this later on. So instead of doing string, we're saving it as an integer. Why are we saving it as an integer? We're saving it as an integer because Java can only compare integers and integers, strings and strings. It can't compare a string and an integer. So basically, since we're already giving it as a number, we'll just save it as an integer. That way it'll make life easy for us in the future. Int cookies is equal to scanner dot next int. So something that we need to touch up on is not every single thing is dot next line. Ooh, this is line, there we go. If we have an integer, it would be dot next int. So we would save the cookies as dot next int. However, this is still in the case that good or bad equals yes. So in this case, I'm going to ask him. And so if he gives us a number, we're going to have to see if the number is too big. Because if Caillou asks for 20 cookies, well, then Caillou is going to throw up all of them within an hour, right? So we have to make sure that he's having a reasonable amount of cookies. So we're going to use another if statement here. So if cookies is greater than, let's say 4, right? I think 1, 2, or 3 cookies is reasonable if they're like this big. But once you get more than that, I think that's a little bit overboard. So if cookies is greater than 4, so if Caillou asks for too much, then we're going to say, sorry, Caillou, you can't eat that many. And then else, so if Caillou asks for something reasonable like 2, then we're going to say system dot out dot println, we're going to say, okay, plus cookies, it is. Or actually, no. This isn't going to work because cookies is an integer and integers cannot be combined with strings. So, okay, we'll say, I will give you those cookies. Okay, so here we have our first little tiny if else statement. We asked if Caillou was a good boy or a bad boy, and if Caillou was a good boy, we would ask him how many cookies he wanted. Then if his cookie number was too much, we would say, oh no, you can't have that many. If it was just in the right range, we would say, okay, here are your cookies. However, if Caillou was not a good boy, we would say, bad Caillou, be a good boy tomorrow, no cookies for you. Okay, so run your code, go ahead and do that, and let's just try it out. Okay, let's see how it works. So let's give it some time to run. I think the first thing that we should test is we should say no. And if we say no, then it's going to say, bad Caillou, be a good boy tomorrow. This is taking an abnormal amount of time. Let me reload the page here. Reload. Come on, REPL. Run the code. There we go. That looks like it's about to work. So let's go ahead and type no. Was Caillou a good boy today? No, he was terrible. He punched Rosie in the face, he drew on the classroom walls, and he threw pasta on his classmate's head. Okay, bad Caillou, be a good boy tomorrow. Okay, poor Caillou. Now, next time when we run it, let's go ahead and say yes. So, say yes, and then we're going to be like, yay, Caillou did not punch Rosie in the face, he didn't draw on the walls, and he did not throw pasta on his classmate's head. So, yes. Good boy, Caillou, how many cookies do you want? Say he's feeling really unreasonable today and wants 100 cookies, which I think he would turn into a cookie by the time he finished eating that. We would say, sorry, Caillou, you can't eat that many. Okay, run it again, and this time let's say Caillou is just being an angel and he only asked for 2 cookies. We would say, okay, I'll give you those cookies. So there we go. Our program is done. We asked if Caillou was good or not. Based on the answer, we then went on to either say he was bad or we went on to ask him how many cookies he wanted. And if his cookie number was reasonable, then we gave it to him. If it was unreasonable, then we did not, right? So we used if statements and if-else statements and layered them and used 2 of them, right? So hopefully this made sense for you guys. It was a little bit harder than what we usually do in our 3rd lesson, but I think you guys can handle it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.